demo, like in the old school games? Because that would be cool. Ooh, here we go. What is up, everybody? It's your favorite host, Robert French here, hanging out with you guys, doing a little Jay and Silent Bob Brawl. Something I've been wanting to do for a little bit here is actually talk about uh, Kevin Smith, and I thought about how I would do this on my YouTube channel. Would I just do like straight up, um, like video, kind of like a one-on one kind of a thing, just in front of the camera, or uh, like I was trying to figure out like how would I deliver this, and then I thought, I was like, well, is there a like Clerks video game? Is there a um, like a Kevin Smith game that I can play? And then come to find out, there isn't a Clerks game. I don't know how. I guess that could work kind of in the same fashion, but there is a Jay and Silent Bob video game. So I thought I would hang out with you guys and do something like that. But I want to do for a minute, which is just kind of talk about Kevin Smith for a little bit, and mainly just kind of cover the reasons that I like him, for one, the reasons that I idolize him, and then the time I actually got to meet him. So this might actually be a two-part video, just depending on how long all this takes. Believe it or not, I've actually got quite a bit to say about the guy. I've always had a kind of a soft spot in my heart for Kevin Smith and his movies, his comics, and just for the guy in general. It's one of those things that when I first came across Kevin, months there was a time where like I just thought Kevin Smith, the comic book writer, and Kevin Smith, the movie director, were like two completely, different people. And it wasn't until like just shortly after that I realized, I'm like, oh no, wait, there is. And again, like I think this is like part of that, like revisiting some of his movies and going like, oh yeah, there's a strong comic book vein in all of these, and it just kind of makes sense that he would. I was gonna say, yeah, there we go. You can do like a trade-off thing there. Just like I do like a cheap Mortal Kombat jump kick. So like I said, he was getting into the movies, he was doing the comic books thing. There was just like all this stuff that was just like right up my wheelhouse. And I keep missing all the food. There we go. And as like the comic book movies started to come out, and I started to see more Kevin Smith doing like interviews, and then he was also like doing a lot of interviews with like Stan Lee. I felt like I kept seeing him interview Stan Lee like over and over again, and they would interview him for like Daredevil movies, and he was just one of those guys that like the more that came out about him and the more I got to know that like, oh well, he sold his comic book collection to make a movie, and that he did it with his friends, and all these things started coming out, I really started to appreciate him even more. He became like one of my favorite film directors. And I think like even Kevin Smith, and I keep saying this, like he would say this and he would say this, and I'm just saying this is based on some of the interviews and things that I've seen him say, that I think he would even suggest that like he's never going to be like a Martin, Scorsese character as far as like directing movies go and all of that. But looking back on his career, maybe he's never going to be that Martin Scorsese, but I distinctly remember several times in the late 90s going to the video store and trying to rent a copy of Clerks, and it not being available. But oh shoot. But you would see like, Goodfellas, or like, any of those, Francis Ford Coppola movies or something like that would be on the shelf, and you couldn't find a copy of Clerks or Chasing Amy. So even though like his movies might not be that Scorsese, Siskel and Ebert quality, Kevin Smith was finding his own fan base and kind of creating his own masterpieces in his own right. And in his snooch to the nooch, I like how they do the black and white little cut scenes here. Kind of like, I think this is like a kind of like a Clerks reference for sure. And there's like tons of Easter eggs. I'm not really talking about the game so much. It's just like I said, talking about Kevin Smith. But I'm sure as you go through and look at this, the like mall rats and Kevin Smith Easter eggs are probably littered throughout this this title here. But again, like I said, just kind of want to talk about more like Kevin Smith and not this game so much. But as Kevin Smith started making his movies and more started coming about like who he is and how like his friends are the ones who are like star in the movies, it was one of those things where like I really did idolize him, because that's exactly like what he was doing, what I wanted to do. Like my friends and I, we would get together on a Friday night, we would hang out, have a few beers and whatever, and catch a buzz and come up with these goofy movie ideas. And I just remember wanting to like make these movies, and then ultimately never getting around to it. Like, you know, my friend Greg and I, we would often come up with like crazy like zombie movies and Hitman movies, and sometimes even finding a way to like put all these little 15-minute shorts into like one long, you know, film. And saying like, oh yeah, we need to shoot this and we need to make this, and you know, I would get the camera out and, you know, get ready to make it, and ultimately never having these things made. So like Kevin Smith ultimately was like doing exactly like what I wanted to be doing, and that's when I think I've started to kind of like not only appreciate Kevin Smith and his filmmaking, but actually really start to idolize Kevin Smith and who he was as a creator, as a filmmaker, and just like I said, as an individual. And I kind of went back earlier and was kind of bringing up something about like, you know, he'll never be like a Spielberg or a Scorsese or something like that. But in his own right, like Kevin Smith developed a Kevin Smith universe, and I think this is when I started to kind of like idolize him as well, when I started to see that not only was he able to kind of put together his own movies with his friends and that whole thing, and just kind of do his own thing and not really worry about like necessarily what Hollywood is concerned with, that he ultimately like did something that no other like movie director has really done that I've ever seen, which is literally create oh, can I not switch out? Oh, I can't switch out. I wonder why I couldn't switch out. That's so weird. But he wound up doing something and creating something that like no other movie director has ever done. And it kind of clicked. Like I mentioned, he would do these interviews with Stan Lee. And it was actually during, I think, one of his Stan Lee interviews where I was like, wait a minute, these guys are very similar in the sense that, you know, Stan Lee created an entire like, you know, Marvel universe. And all of these different characters, and they all exist in the same world and share all of these adventures. Well, excuse me, Kevin Smith ultimately did the same thing. And I think that's something, like, I mean, I might be wrong. Please help me sort this out, or if you can think of something that I'm missing, please comment down below. I would love to know. But I can't think of any movie director that has done what Kevin Smith has done, in the sense that all of his movies exist in this Kevin Smith universe, if you will. He has all of these characters that share these same experiences and these locations and all of that. There we go. And no other director has done that. Like, you might have directors who have like little Easter eggs and nods to other movies. You know, I think a great one to point out would be like Sam Raimi has the car, the Oldsmobile in every movie, or the Buick or something, and he has that in every film. And then usually Bruce Campbell pops up in all of his pictures, but it's not like a world where it's all the same characters, you know, like it's not Bruce Campbell as Ash in every movie, and that sense that, like, you know, the characters from Mallrats and Chasing Amy mention instances and things that have happened in Clerks, and all of these characters pop back up again, and like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and the reboot. There's a connection in this world that Kevin Smith created through these movies, and like no other director has done that. George Lucas with his Star Wars. Most of the movies are directed by other people. They might be his characters and all of that, but it's not him solely behind the wheel, such as Kevin Smith. And like I said, I think it was one day when I was watching Kevin Smith interview Stan Lee, and I was like, man, these guys are eerily similar in the sense that they've created all these characters that exist in that same world. Stan Lee's characters exist in New York, and most of Kevin Smith's characters exist in New Jersey. This is a tough game. This is sort of like, I guess, their take on Double Dragon. But man, the hitbox on these guys is so small. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, we might have to turn this into a two-part. Oh, it's movie. Two-parter because I still haven't even started talking about the first time I met Kevin Smith, and that could turn into a whole video in of itself. I got a chance to meet Kevin Smith at a GalaxyCon, and we do have GalaxyCon coming back up here pretty soon. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of people that I want to catch at this GalaxyCon. But it's awesome when you get a chance to meet those people that you do idolize. And I didn't think it would ever happen. I've gotten a chance to actually meet Stan Lee and Kevin Smith. And those are definitely two of my bucket list characters. But like I said, Kevin Smith is just such a genuine individual that even like outside of his movies and his comic book, like just listening to him tell his stories and his stand-up from time to time is really amazing. And there was, I feel like, mornings for months and months straight where I would just kind of wake up and listen to snippets of him on a podcast or him doing like his stand-up or something like that. And it was just always just really awesome to kind of listen to, kind of start your day with. Oh no, I think I'm dead. Oh, that's not good. Oh well. Attacked and innocent. Skateboarders can't handle air attacks. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap this up where we are here with this, and I'm going to jump back into a second part talking about more of the meeting of Kevin Smith. Like I said, I've kind of gone into like why I like the guy. Like I said, it's just the movies, the stories. Like I said, a lot of it's like, they're hour and a half long, dick and fart jokes, but there's something about the dialogue in the Kevin Smith movies too that really stand out, and the topics and the conversations. I think some movies like that will make you feel awkward, like watching them with your parents. But you're sitting there with your aunt and uncle, and you're trying to watch like I don't know, American Pie or something like that. But when it comes to like Kevin Smith, man, like he would make you feel awkward, even just in the sense of like sitting with your friends. Like I remember sitting with my friends my age and like listening to the conversations in some of these Kevin Smith films, just being like, wow, this is like really a weird, awkward conversation to be having. And but I mean that was like how I guess like him and his friends talk. To a degree, like how myself and my friends would talk to, just kind of like some kind of crazy, like, out of pocket, gross comments about women or sex or, craps or something along those lines, whatever. Um, but like I said, he took it to a whole level and kind of like based a universe and a world around these characters that just have these crazy, off the wall, out of pocket conversations. And Um, I don't know. There's just something extremely special about that. And again, to make something out of really, it's kind of like, I'm going to kind of wrap up this piece with this little statement that it kind of really speaks to who Kevin Smith is. I mean, it's like, Clerks isn't a very special movie. There's nothing other than it's shot in black and white and it really takes place in like one location. There's nothing out of the ordinary about this film among all of the other films that came out in the 90s. But somehow it rose to the ranks and is still cherished and, like I said, favored to this day among the fans. And that's also, I think, a reflection on Kevin Smith. He's said himself that, Kevin Smith is a boring ass, plain ass name. It's like I could have been Kevin Smith, the movie director. I could have been Kevin Smith, the guy working at Clerks or Quick Stop for the rest of my life. Um, it's a common, boring ass name, but he made something out of it, and that's kind of the same. It's like it's a common, boring ass movie, but like there's something special about it, and it's like he's a common, boring ass name, but there's just something special, And that's I think part of the magic to Kevin Smith is that even though there really isn't anything too extraordinary about him, there is something pretty extraordinary about the guy and what he's been able to do. Like I said, to take these characters, create an entire universe. He was able to reinvent characters within the Marvel and the DC universes, do stand up and podcasts and the comic book men. And you really almost need a chart, like once you kind of get into Kevin Smith, some of the connections and the people and the comic book shop and all of that, you almost really need like a dry erase board to kind of pick and go through like what all of that even kind of like looks like. But we'll save that for another time, as well as the story of when I actually got a chance to meet Kevin Smith at GalaxyCon. We'll jump into all that in part 2 of Kevin Smith right here on my channel. Until then, please like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Leave a comment down below. And until next time, guys, don't binge record or anywhere else. I almost messed that up. See ya. I'm still a little short on 30 minutes. Stuff you got to get that right at the 30-minute mark, or it used to be so much easier to clip video on my PS4. I could just do like a quick little 20-minute clip. I could clip exactly what I just done. This is kind of like broken up into 5, 10, 15. If you don't hit that 30, then you can't record everything. Still not at that 30-minute mark. We're almost at that 30-minute mark. We're almost at that 30-minute mark. Then you don't want to miss the intro to the video either. Oh my gosh, come on. Where are we at? Oh, it'll save 28. So we got like about a minute and a half. Alright, cool. Do you guys have a favorite Kevin Smith movie? Most of his films do kind of like involve that universe of Clerks, but he's done a few others. Cop Out, was it Husk? Jersey Girl. Comic Book Man. Maybe it was an episode of the WB that he directed. That's a great story in of itself right there.